Hello, everybody. I am Tyra, and I'm making this video for really anybody, but I'm keeping my friends in mind who are behind me in the homeschool world. Um, and so, what I want to talk about is, let me see, can I record this at the same time? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I don't lose this. um, I want to talk about yeah, the transition out of homeschooling, because a lot of us homeschool for years. If you are like me, you have homeschooled from K through 12. I have two children. Combined homeschooling years would be 16, or total homeschooling years would be 16. And so it's an identity. When you're a homeschool mom, it's truly an identity. And half of us didn't actually feel full on affirmed until the pandemic hit. Most people thought we were crazy, some type of super women, just whatever. But regardless of how we feel, it's an identity. And when we start getting closer to the end, I just want to capture this moment because I know I will probably forget all of the nuance of it as I get further out from homeschooling. But I just want to make sure this is okay. Yes, it's okay. So what I decided was, let's see here, this is 21. So 2019 is when I decided I better start thinking now about what I want to do when my second son finishes high school. I'm so proud of him. He graduates this year. And so, yeah, I was like, I better start thinking about what do I want to do once he's done? And so I've launched an online business, an online entrepreneur. And so I've just been taking a lot of courses and, working on my business to be prepared. I just wanted to lay a foundation. For me, I don't do well multitasking. And so I've kept my drive at bay, even though I work on it on a regular basis every day for the most part. I've kept it at bay and just been putting myself in this mode of, I just need to understand what is the absolute foundation that I need laid so that once he's done, I can begin to work and build this business to where it's profitable. And I just work for myself. That's what I desire. And so that's what I started doing first and foremost, is making plans in advance. I don't know how other people have done it because, quite frankly, I'm making this video because most homeschool moms, they don't talk about it, I guess we have the usual conversations like, yeah, I'm sad it's ending or whatever, but it's like, where do they go? What do they do after they homeschool, And so, yes, I'm not quite sure. I'll make some more videos to let you all know what I do once he goes off to college. He'll be going to Austin P. This summer, it's like I can feel there's just a continuation of being mom and working with him on a day-to-day basis, getting him ready for college. Just, we have to register for classes and we have to get his stuff together and just help. I continue to help him. And, my older son, he went off to the United States Coast Guard Academy. Yes, I'm very proud. It's like, you can't help, like, let me tell you, homeschool moms, one of the things that I have embraced is this is my work. There are some people who go and they work at whatever company and they get all these accolades, or whatever government agency, whatever their business is, they get all these accolades. There is really nobody giving accolades. There's no Teacher of the Year award given to a homeschool mom. And if you get that, I'm so happy for you. You deserve it. We need more of that. So I say, I just allow myself to bask in all of my children's accomplishments. I don't take credit for it, but I do allow myself to be just completely, totally, and utterly proud because that's my teacher of the year. That's my principal of the year. That's my lunch lady room of the year award, right? You know, the janitor of the year. I love it because we're everything. Um, so I let myself bask. But yes, my older son is at the United States Coast Guard Academy. But something that I learned before he graduated from my friends whose kids are a little older than him is you really are still parenting once they, first 2 years easily. I say maybe even the first 4 years. They still need you in a different way because now the goal is to help them to make that transition and be standing on their own 2 feet. And it takes time, even if they go into the military, it still takes time. I have a nephew, he's 19 in the military. He needs us to cheer him on. Even though nobody has to pay anything for him or whatever, he's in the military and they're telling him what to do every day of his life. He still needs us to talk to ask questions, to care about him. They're young, right? So I already know it continues. And we'll have to continue to support them. So I know I'll be in that mode through when he goes off to college. So once we drop him off and I come back here on day one, I wanted something to do. I wanted to make sure I have something to do. I do feel like I need time to decompress, to be honest with you. And I'm doing my best to kind of let this happen now. Thankfully, my younger son is at MTSU taking dual enrollment classes. And so that has been the bulk of what he's worked on these last 2 semesters. There is some schoolwork that I have, created and designed for him to do. But for the most part, he's like completely and totally self-sufficient and just taking care of everything. Um, and so he's almost done. So in this time, it's like I'm just savoring it and allow myself to decompress a little bit. There's certain things like I don't tell him anything about a bedtime. That went out the window when my older son was here during the pandemic because my older son is a college student, and oh my gosh, they would be up to 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because he's working on schoolwork or whatever. I'm like, my teenager does not have a bedtime. So I just gave up on that. But it's sort of like, you know what? You need to be in charge of your bedtime, not me, because I'm not going to be there next year. His phone, it's like, now I do still during the week say, get off your phone by a certain time. But otherwise, it's just like, you know what? You need to learn to regulate yourself. You got to learn this. I'm doing everything I can to begin to show him, hey, you've got to start being in charge of you. And in me doing that, that's freeing me up to just sort of like feel like, okay, let me just savor this, to back up a little bit and begin to let myself decompress and also begin to continue to make the shift. And I do think it's important the last 2 years, you need to start doing things differently. You have to start signaling to them, this is coming to an end. Now, we don't want to be like making them all scared and nervous and stuff, but I do think the more we loosen our grip, and especially that senior year, junior year, we got to get them through that junior year. But there are things we can begin to do. So, with my older son, he started going to MTSU his junior year. With my younger son, I don't know. He's just so easygoing. But it was weird for him too because the second semester of his junior year, we were in the pandemic. But he pretty much just became self-sufficient, And it's not like this for every child, But that's just how it manifested for him. He just was. I think it actually. Now that I think about it, I'm just now getting an opportunity to really process it. I think that was his way of coping. It was like school is certain. It's something I've done my whole, like almost my whole life. So let me do this because it brings normalcy to me, because my husband was home, my older son was home, and that's not normal for us. My husband used to work away from home. And of course, my older son, he would come home for a week, maybe three, and then leave, like every 4 to 6 months. And so that brought some normalcy, I think, to my younger son. But definitely the senior year, it's more and more. Of course, they've got to show us that they can handle it. So, use your parental discretion. But I honestly believe one of the best ways to ease out of homeschooling is to ease up on some of the things that we control in our children's lives. And it just begins to help you begin to make the shift also. The other thing too, so yes, you want to be able to have some identity. So I do encourage you to begin to put some plan in place, even if it's just in the meantime, put some plan in place that you can focus on once they're gone. Because then at the very least, you can just dive into it if you feel like I can't handle my kids being gone. It'll give you something to do so that you don't just, I don't know what people do. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm like, why do homeschool moms not talk about this more? So I'll have to let you all know how I actually decompress, because I do feel like I need time to decompress. And I do feel like, well, my husband doesn't get time off from his job because he hasn't, he's still working. And it's like dealing with these feelings of feeling like, he doesn't get that break. Why do I deserve it? It's just, I just feel like I need the break. I'm in the throes of perimenopause. I figured out recently that I have, like, my lymph system hasn't been working right. And so it's like my body is toxic, and it's not that I have any bad sickness, but it's like low energy, can't lose weight. And I honestly believe some of it is from the huge responsibility of caring for so many people for so long. It's just bringing up a little emotion, because we moms, and I give credit to dads. I'm not taking anything from dads. I'm so grateful for my husband and the burden and the weight that he's carried financially for us to be able to do this. So I take nothing away from that. I just know how I feel in my body. I know how I feel in my soul. and what we feel matters. And I feel tired. I do. I really feel tired, even though it's like a bittersweet ending, with homeschooling going away. Wow, it's a mind game. It's a mind shift. It's a mind, it's like a whole new shift in identity. And that's something that I think is important for us. And so, I feel like part of the shift in the identity is unloading and unpacking all of these years where we spend with these children who some days they love you and some days they hate you. It's like such a deep, deep relationship. And it's like, I've got to unpack all of that. And then, of course, maybe I'll take some time, and I'll keep y'all posted on what I do, but maybe I'll take some time to put the memories together. That'll give me an opportunity to cry. And when I cry at this point, it's because I started crying earlier this morning and I'm tearing up now. This is one of the best things I've ever done in my whole life. Homeschooling was hard at times. And there were days when I was like, nobody appreciates what I do, because I'm the principal, I'm the teacher. They like the lunch lady, I ain't gonna lie. They had no issues with the janitor. Everybody likes the janitor. In the Black community, I think about just that image of that Black man. A lot of times it's the Black man or the Black woman at our school. Maybe they weren't the teacher, but they were the teacher. We love them. They were as cherished and valued as, the teachers and the principals and all that kind of good stuff. I loved the lunch ladies. I always did. I always did. They were just like, some of them were mean as hell, but it's like, I love you, Miss So and so. Um, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but it doesn't matter. I said, like, if I were to die today, it's like I did so much what I was supposed to by homeschooling my children. And we have to give ourselves these kinds of opportunities, moms. We have to give ourselves these kind of opportunities to say, yeah, I'm crying because it's ending, but it's like not the kind of cry for me. I want my children to grow up. I want my children to, it brings me so much joy to watch my oldest son. It's not been easy. He's at a military academy. It's not easy. But it's still like, wow, look at him growing wings and strength to stand up on his legs as a young adult and making his own friends and creating his own experiences and learning who he is and what does he really value, what does he really believe, and just like, yeah, do that. I love that. I love my kids are alive and growing up and getting big and maturing and moving on into adulthood. And so it's like so much joy, and at the same time it's like, oh my God, such a good phase of life. And maybe it's not even enough just talked about by moms. It doesn't matter if you homeschool or didn't homeschool your kids. Just the fact that we moms, we adore being moms to our children. I know not all moms are perfect. So if your mom wasn't perfect, I'm so sorry. So no, it's not everybody has a good experience with their mom caring about them. But if you're watching this video, more than likely you're the mom and you are like, oh my gosh, I love my kids and I have enjoyed this time. I've through the heartache and the pain, through the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, I have truly adored this time. And I do want to just transition out of it, not abruptly. I don't want to be stuck in the past, and my identity must change. And I think that this is something that's important. What are you going to do next? And so, yeah, I have to keep y'all posted because I'm at the beginning of this journey and there's just not a lot of, and I haven't looked anything up, but of the women who I've known, they're just like, I don't know what they're doing. Let's see, is there anything else I want to tell you before I end this particular video? I think that's it. Yeah, let yourself cry. I had a nice little cry this morning and it just feels like I, was able to release. It feels like stress and tension because there's a part of me that's like, well, I got to just keep going. I can't be like laid out on the floor all day, every day or whatever. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to say, I know there was one more thing I wanted to say. I think this applies to both, just any mom. But of course, there's like this unique element that we have as homeschool moms. But I just feel like there's not enough appreciation of when a mom is like, I don't want this phase of life to end. We love our children and we love being moms. And so when a mom cries or she's sad, if she doesn't have enough people around her who understand or are willing to just be supportive, even if they don't understand, pretty much. And it's a lot of moms who will tell you, why are you crying? Quit crying, be happy to be free. And I'm like, wow. It's not that I'm not happy to get my freedom from that phase of life. You know, it's like in this country, people can't stand weakness. If you're weak, they will eat you alive. People just can't stand it. The masculine, and I don't mean male, it's not about men or women. It's about energy. There's feminine energy and there's masculine energy. Feminine energy oftentimes is more receptive and easygoing, and masculine energy is more about action and let's go after this thing. And so, you know, when people are emotional, it's like not respected. And I just say to you, find somebody who will support you. If you're watching this video, leave a comment. My email is my first name and my last name. I think that's on my, well, my first name is on my YouTube video. Last name is HARGROW@gmail.com. Write me, okay? Write to me if you need me to hold you and support you in your process, because I will be very gentle and just be like, okay, I'll listen. I'll listen. Yeah, so I say don't stuff it, and don't, if someone doesn't support you, don't shut it down because people are telling you stop being a baby, but instead just find people who will listen to you, even if you have to go maybe talk to a counselor. Call up a counselor. That's what their job is. They're here to listen and to just be somebody who will be that ear for you. You know, short term, you don't have to have it long term. If you have a counselor or a therapist already, you can contact them. And yeah. So yeah, I don't like that part of this transition, right? It's no respect for moms. It's like, oh, you know, I remember when I first became a mom, I was pretty much told, like, don't hold the baby all the time. And, you know, ain't nobody gonna be able to keep that baby because you're always holding that baby, you just spoiling that baby. And, you know, you just too much. You just doing too much for your baby. I'm like, this is somebody, like, he cannot walk to the bathroom and pee and put, I mean, like, this is really a helpless little being here. It's like, is it okay for me to just take care of this little precious baby? Right. And so I started reading and learning about what do babies really need, and you know, what do they expect. And yeah, it was, they within the first 2 years of life, they are pretty much like, especially the first year, middle part of the second year, we all know they start separating their identity. But for the first 2 years is what I learned on this book, Continuum Concept. It was about babies are supposed to, well, and also Our Babies Ourselves. I can't remember the name of the author of Our Babies Ourselves, but but those two books shaped the way I was a mom early on. And so they were like, babies don't differentiate between themselves and their mothers for the first 2 years of life. And this is why, you know, you look at a little 19-month-old, 20-month-old, that's a little baby, like, seriously. And they, you know, have this identity that's attached. Now, of course, they will start making that shift, but within the first 2 years of life, high touch, high connection to mom. This is what babies are programmed for, whether our culture accepts this or not. Okay. This is what babies are programmed for. And so, you know, we get the message early on. Don't be sensitive and caring and loving towards your baby. This culture, the USA, is like independence right away. Get them up, get them free, get them out of your bedroom, get them as self-sufficient as they possibly can, not honoring what are children programmed for? What are babies programmed for? What are teenagers programmed for? Even, you know, when we begin to see them get older, what does the 20-year-old need? What does the 21-year-old need? They don't just not need us. I have a cousin, she said her mom just put her out. I didn't know this, but she was like, boom, 18, you out. I'm like, an 18-year-old? is the brain isn't fully developed. Our brains aren't fully developed until they're 24, 25 years old, right? And so I'm not going to be not for loving my kids. I'm not going to be not for caring about my kids. I'm not going to be disrespected. And so if I want to cry because this tender, beautiful, gorgeous, like the best work I ever could have done is cultivate a human being, not only just as the mom, but as the teacher, guidance counselor as they get older, out of my face. I'm going to cry if I want to. It's my party and I'll cry if I want to. But yeah, let it out, moms. Let it out, and contact. If you don't know me and don't feel comfortable contacting me, just reach out to a homeschool mom that you knew before you, and say, hey, how did you make the adjustment? What did you do? How did you feel? This is how I'm feeling. Because probably whatever you're feeling is very, very normal. Because there are moments, I'm not gonna lie, full transparency, when I am like, I'm going to be free. No more trying to figure out what do we do from year to year. Sometimes I think, how did my kids survive my homeschool? That's for another video, talking about how I always say I was the imperfect homeschooler. The only thing that I have working for me is I'm very strategic. Very strategic. I make very strategic moves that matter. But all this stuff that these perfect homeschool moms do, and just being funny. I'm not digging on anybody. These perfect homeschool moms. I remember there were some ladies I used to hang out with, and they would get together, maybe on a weekend. They would go somewhere for a weekend and plan their whole homeschool year. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Girl, y'all get out of my face. I am not going there with y'all to plan my whole homeschool year. At that point, they would be lucky to get 1 week out of me. 1 week. I'm like, there have been times when I was day-to-day homeschooling. I wake up like, I have no idea what we're gonna do. Okay, let me get myself together. It was like I matured as I went along. And so maybe at some point I started getting to a point where it was like I could see the vision. I would sit down one weekend and just say, okay, I know these are the subjects that they need. This is something I know I can put in place. If I don't have anything else to do, they could do this. Like time for learning has been that for me for a number of years. And then there were times when I would just get motivated, inspired, and I create YouTube playlists or find stuff that I want them to do, so that when I was like, I don't know what you can do, go to this list and you can pick something. But I did get better. I mean, like, okay, I see what you need to do. And here you go. Do it. Great. And I ain't do a whole bunch of testing. I'm not doing all that mess. I'm not giving tests. Do you understand the words that you read? Let's have a little conversation. And that's it. All this testing and stuff, all this mess. I'm not doing all of that. Until they got a little older. Then, you want them to be able to, be comfortable with tests and stuff like that. And of course, they had to study for the ACT, which is a bunch of bull crap. So yeah, I probably need to just make another video. I do actually, even though if you're watching this video, you're probably at the end, but I do actually, if you know people, have a Facebook page. It's called the Homeschool Expert. And I have a course that I created where that was something else that I did. Thought I was just rambling. Something else that I did was I said, I'm going to forget all of this. I'm going to forget it. And so I recorded every thought I could think about, for homeschooling K through 12. And I put it in a class, a workshop, that people can watch to get an understanding of how to homeschool. And so, if you feel so moved to pass that on to somebody else, the homeschool expert, you will see my face there. .com. Yeah. Yeah, I may have even bought that domain actually. thehomeschoolexpert.com. It'll take you to my Facebook page. Okay, so I think that's it. I feel better. Thank you for letting me share, because actually me making this video is a part of me processing and, letting myself shift. I'll just say it that way. All right, y'all take care. Thank you so much. Peace and love.